keeping track of the minor pentatonic scale. Now, let's take, for example, Carlos Santana, who did a song called Smooth, and there's an intro riff which I'm hoping you might know. And inside that scale, this note there doesn't make sense because it's not part of the natural minor pentatonic. So if you're thinking of the pentatonic going like this, and you suddenly have this note, we want to know how that note get there. How did Carlos know that note sounded cool? Let's say you're doing Gary Moore's Cold Day in Hell, and your minor pentatonic would normally sound like this. And the riff goes. And you want to know now, how did Gary Moore know that that note fits inside the scale? How did we get to target that? So for the study, we're going to keep the minor pentatonic, which is your first riff, as our reference point. And we're going to do a little exercise in each one of them as well. And we're going to see how, when we look at different scales, how they all tend to have a common ground, a sort of a foundation, if you want to call it that. So we're going to focus now primarily on our fretting hand, so we're going to zoom in on that, and we're going to go through 6 different scales and compare what's different, what is similar, and see what we can learn from this. Okay, here we go. Zoomed in now on our fretting hand. This is going to be your 5th fret, because we're going to compare everything to A minor. And if you want to know why it's A minor, it's because A minor is the relative minor to C major, which has no sharps or flats. So when you suddenly come across different notes like an E flat or an F sharp, for example, we can see the differences quite easily. Now the A minor pentatonic, I'm sure most of you are familiar with. I'm just going to go through it once if you're not sure. The diagram is on your PDF file. There are 2 PDF files, page 1 and page 2, part 1 and part 2. And if you start at fret 5, that's your dark blue note on the diagram. And it's going to go through 5, 8, next string 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, back to 5, 8, and 5, 8, and reverse it. Now, I don't want us just to get to know the shapes. I also want you to get to know the notes on the fretboard as well over time. So if someone says to you, what's that note? You can say it's A. If they go to a note over here and say, what's that? You can say it's E. We want to get to that point eventually, but that's not the main focus right now. Now, next to each scale, it says on your right hand side of it, goals, and it says learn the shape for point 1, which we just did. We started at fret 5, and then it says know the notes. This is very, very important, because as you play them through, I want you to think this is A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, A, G, A, C. So you get to know the names of the notes as you play it through as well, just to create like a mental picture of your fretboard and to slowly but surely get to learn the notes on it. I don't want you to learn it like a parrot and go home and sit and spend 3 hours saying fret 5 is A and fret 8 is C and fret 5 is D and all that. I don't want you to do that, but just gradually go through A, C, D, E, G, A. You will get to know them with time. Now underneath each exercise as well, you'll see it has a tab over there. They're in triplet just because we wanted to do a triplet exercise. And all of them have got a certain thing in common, a certain concept or application to each scale in common. And we put them in red and blue just to show the triplets easier, so you can see the triplet from a color point of view. And here's the triplet, what it should sound like slowly. And there you go. And obviously remember to descend it as well. So the descending tab isn't on the page, but it should sound like this. Very important, you'll notice my fingers are numbered. Try as best as possible to use the same finger notation I'm using. And very important, get your pinky working. Okay, it's a very important finger. If you think about it, it's 25% of your hand on the fretboard, because obviously we don't count the thumb. So please get that fretboard going. Okay, So let's see what we've done so far. You've learned the minor pentatonic, you've learned the notes being A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, and trying to breathe in between. You've learned those notes, and you've learned a cool exercise, which obviously you can actually then import or incorporate into your improvising as well. Okay, we're on to the second scale now, the A minor blues scale, which is just down in the middle of your page. And you'll notice there it's got the same dark blue notes. In fact, all the light blue notes and the one dark blue note are exactly the same as the A minor pentatonic above it. That's the important lesson inside this entire study, to get to see how the minor pentatonic forms part of your scales. It's basically like a foundation. Now on the minor blues scale, it's just going to sound like this. Now I intentionally play those E flats louder so you could focus and listen to how they affect the sound of the A minor pentatonic. So one octave, A minor pentatonic, A minor blues. Gives quite a cool sound to it, eh? Now, what is the name of this note? If you're paying attention, you should have known the answer. It says it's E flat. So now again, if you go through the notes, A, C, D, E flat, E, G, A, C, D, E flat, E, G, A, and backwards. Now, for each of these scales, I want you to also practice the exercise underneath it. So this one's going to sound like the slow motion. And you'll notice at the end of the tab it says complete this, because I wasn't going to sit and put the extra line in for the last few notes. You should be able to work out how to complete it. If you're not sure, try and find a pattern, and there is a pattern inside there. The pattern is first triplet, 1, 2, 3, second triplet, 2, 3, 4, third triplet, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So you're starting each triplet on the second note of the previous triplet. Have you got that? If you're not sure, please drop me a WhatsApp. I don't want to spend too much time discussing that right now, but try and learn it as well. And the reason I want to do this is to help us get finger control, so you can have so you can get all your fingers working. You can go from a pentatonic to put a minor blues scale. The little slide works quite cool there. Check this out. So instead of going, you can go, and it sounds quite cool. It's just a little technique thing I thought I'd put inside there quickly. Now, we're going to see again that your minor blues scale has the same notes as the pentatonic, but with the 2 red notes added, and that we call the minor blue note. Its note's name is E flat, and it's also known as the flattened 5th note. And for those that know power chords, that's an A5, right? I'm sure you recognize A5. If you're not sure of power chords, drop me a WhatsApp and I'll send you a power chord video. But that's fret 5, fret 7. This over here is A5 power chord. That's the root note. That's the 5, giving it its name. And if I flatten this note, in other words, if I lower the pitch, I've lowered the 5th, flattened the 5, and that's E flat. And that's why they call this note the flattened 5th note of the minor blues scale. We got that. Okay. Now we're on to the third scale type. This is also a blues scale. Now, I notice sometimes they talk about, oh, play the blues scale, and a good question could be, do you mean the minor blues scale or the major blues scale? Normally it's always the minor blues. For example, that Gary Moore riff that I played at a C sharp at the beginning. Minor blues note. Okay. So generally speaking, most of the time, if they don't stipulate major or minor blues scale, it's normally this one. Okay, we got that. Now the major blues is going to be slightly different. It's going to sound and look something like this. So let's play it through slow motion, Starting again on fret 5, we're going to do a lot of repetition over here. You'll notice again in the diagram, I'm hoping you printed in color, that the blue dots again are the minor pentatonic. So you've got a minor pentatonic scale going, but you've got a major blues scale. Now that's sort of quite interesting, because that's your note that gives the major blues scale its characteristic. It's what changes the minor pentatonic into the major blues. Nice little Chuck Berry sort of style riff over there. There's your major blues. Nice major blues riff as well. But that's the note that gives it the major blues sound. Okay, let's play it through together. We're going to start one more time. 5, 8. Move the hand back to get that 4th fret. Pinky now goes over here to the 7th fret. Move the hand back into the normal pentatonic shape. Middle finger for the C sharp there. And then it completes like a normal minor pentatonic. And you may do this if you want to as well. Because even though I didn't show it in the diagram, you can bring that C sharp in fret 9 my pinky's tapping on. You can bring that in like that. That sounds pretty cool as well. Just to know that you can add that note in. Okay, and again, same scale exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, call out the note names. A, C, C sharp, D, E, G, A, C, C sharp, D, and so on. So it's important to get to know your names of your notes. And we want to know, why is this the major blues? Because if you play your arpeggios, and that's another study, your notes inside the A major arpeggio are this. And those are the notes that make up the chord A. Or if I'm playing a bar chord, there's my A bar chord, and if I A minor it, there it goes, A major. And this note is actually the major 3rd note of the chord A. So you've actually got a minor sound with the major note added. So you can sit and argue a little bit over here and say the A major blues scale is actually a minor scale, not a major scale. But it has the note of the major scale included into the minor pentatonic. And that would be the safest way to view it, to avoid confusion on keys. We got that. So one more time over here. A major blues is basically the A minor pentatonic with the major 3rd included. And again, if you want some more theory on major 3rds and flattened 5ths, relating them to power chords, for example, that over here would be a major 3rd power chord, 5th power chord, 4th power chord, major 3rd power chord. But that's another study. If you want more information, drop me a WhatsApp and I'll happily help you out. I'm going to sign off on this video now. I'm going to join you again on the second video, which is going to be a continuation over here of the pentatonic foundations, part 2. And we're going to switch from the pentatonic to diatonic. So once you got these scales, again, name the notes, say them out loud, get to know it. I'm going to say that a lot because it's important. Okay, so just bear with me saying a lot of obvious things. I'm trying to drum home the importance of it. But I'll see you in the second video. Make sure you know these scales. Remember, the minor pentatonic is the backbone. It's common to all these scales so far. Any questions, drop me a WhatsApp, and see you video number 2. Thank you.